Ecuador, one of the most biodiverse countries in the world. It has a proud history extending back to the Incan Empire. But despite its beauty and history, there's also a large income inequality. And sadly, chronic malnutrition impacts 24% of children under the age of 5. It is a country still facing poverty, which has resulted in broken families and limited education opportunities. Teach those who are rich in this world not to be proud and not to trust in their money, which is so unreliable. Their trust should be in God, who richly gives us all we need for our enjoyment. 1 Timothy 6:17.
Compassion serves the most extremely poor in the world, and extremely poor is indicated by making $2 or less a day. $2 or less a day. That's about $730 a year if your house makes that. One of the homes that we visited here in Ecuador, the family, the mother of the family, she peels garlic for a living. She has like 45 pounds of garlic, and it'll take her all day to peel it. And if she peeled all day long, 45 pounds of garlic, she makes $5. She said, if my whole family of 7 helps, it'll take us 2 hours, and we still only get $5. Can you imagine that? So let's think of that verse again in light of where you're at maybe today. Teach those who are rich in this world not to trust in their money, which is so unreliable, but to trust in God. Tell them to do good with what they have. So I want to ask us, what are we doing with what we have? In light of the poverty around us, in light of the poverty around the world, is there something that we can do? Well, through compassion, not only is there something we can do, but amazing things are being done.
Tell them to use their money to do good. They should be rich in good works and generous to those in need, always being ready to share with others. 1 Timothy 6:18.
The mission of Compassion is to rescue children from poverty in Jesus' name. They partner with over 7,500 churches around the world. They're child-focused. Over 80% of every dollar that you give in your sponsorship goes towards holistically caring for that child, whether it's food, medical, clothing, education, socio-emotional things they need to go through as well. So it's child-focused, it's church-based. They work with only local churches on the ground in the countries they serve, and it's Christ-centered. They are built around the mission of Jesus. Throughout history, God's church has always had a heart for the poor and for those who are hurting. In fact, one of the most beautiful things about Christianity is the fact that they are always there caring for the least of these. Our Compassion host told us that poverty becomes a mindset for these children, that they say things like, my grandparents were poor, my parents are poor, so it's just my fate to be poor. He shared a verse from Luke 2:52, that Jesus grew in wisdom, stature, favor with both God and people. And he said, children in poverty, they can't grow in those areas unless someone from the outside comes in to help. We want to be a part of that help, to have children grow out of the poverty mindset, saying, I have to live this way for the rest of my life. We want to partner with Compassion to see them holistically provide for the needs of these children. When you partner with Compassion, you're not just feeding children, they do get fed, but you're actually changing communities and you're helping to change destinies. I want you to see a few of the ways that when you partner with Compassion, you're making a lasting impact all around the world. Compassion has kind of three main arms that they use to serve the countries they go to. They have the church planting arm, they have the child survival program, and then the Compassion, the church partners that they have on the ground in these local countries. We're actually standing on a plot of land behind me. A church plant is going in here shortly. A brand new church that will actually start with 150 sponsored children from around this community here, one of the most impoverished places in Ecuador. We just heard from the pastor explaining the vision that their organization has to see churches planted in every province, in every community, every province in Ecuador. It's a big vision, but hearing them talk, you believe it's going to happen. A church plant actually happens through a partnership with a local church in America. In fact, the church that's starting here is being sponsored by a church in Billings, Montana. One of their pastors is on this trip as well, and it was super cool to see God bring that marriage of ministry together that we got to witness today. Once the church is up and running, then they will be serving those Compassion children and their families through our individual support. And in a local Compassion church, one of the things I love about it is you will not see anything about compassion at any one of these local churches. They are actual local churches with local pastors, their own name, their own organization. Compassion really wants the church to be the hero in the setting so that the community trusts and knows the church. At the Compassion Centers, they work holistically with every child. They do dental checkups, physical checkups on the children. They provide for them food. The sponsorship provides for them education and tutoring. It really is a holistic approach to the entire life of the child that affects every single home and every single neighborhood in massive ways. One of the things that they talked to us about today was the importance of the letters that kids receive from their sponsors. A lot of churches, they line the kids up every month and they call out the names of those who got letters. So can you imagine the children that didn't get a letter from their sponsor? It really inspired me to keep on writing my Compassion child every single month so that they know there's someone out there who loves them and cares for them and is proud of them. A lot of these kids don't hear that from anywhere else except from their sponsor. And then there's the child survival program that works with moms from preborn children and pregnant moms all the way through 1 year old. And they teach those moms how to care for and provide for their children, providing an education for them that many of them wouldn't have had. They also teach these moms a trade, a way for them to break out of the poverty of cycle. Many of these women cannot earn a living on their own. And so this child survival program teaches these moms how to do crafts or make little purses that it costs $1 to make. They sell it for $2 and they begin to live on that. It really is remarkable. And we want to give you a little picture, little insight into every one of those programs today. So I hope that you get a view of what Compassion's doing right here in Ecuador. We're here in Guayaquil, Ecuador. It's literally one of the poorest places in Guayaquil, which is why this site was chosen for a church plant. Church planting is a brand new thing that Compassion's been doing, where like a church in California sponsored this church plant. They literally gave money, and from the ground up, they built this church right there where there was the most need. 5 years ago, this building did not exist. It was just land, but they chose this land. They built a building, and immediately there was 200 children that were sponsored through Compassion International because this church now exists and families' lives are being changed. But one of the things that's super powerful about what this church does is the child survival program. It focuses on preborn children, so mothers who are pregnant, and then they work with these moms until their children are 1 year old. A lot of the moms here, they don't get the education and training on proper nutrition or how to teach your children to use their hands and their legs early enough to develop those muscles. Many moms just carry their kids around for 2 years. So Compassion now teaches these moms how to teach their children to do things with their hands and their feet so their muscles grow, and teaches them nutrition. And then when they turn 1, they're eligible for being sponsored. In fact, just at dinner, we had lunch here. We served moms lunch. I sat down with 4 of the Ecuadorian moms and served them lunch. And one of the moms, her son turned 1 15 days ago. And 15 days ago, he got his first sponsorship from someone in America. So now her home, her life, her child's life, will be changed forever because someone gives $38 a month. We asked the moms, what's their favorite part about compassion? And all of them have multiple children, and all of them said, I now know how to actually raise my child. I didn't know with my other children. So it's really changing lives. These moms are teaching other moms as well. So super cool. And you're gonna see some footage of what we saw today and the amazing work they're doing.
By doing this, they will be storing up their treasure as a good foundation for the future, so that they may experience true life. 1 Timothy 6:19.
By doing this, what does that mean? It's by being generous with what we have as wealthy individuals. We're storing up a treasure as a good foundation. And what is that foundation? It's an eternal one. It's a purpose far greater than anything we can even imagine, and that by doing it, we will experience true life. That's our vision here at Element. We exist to help guide people to experience life to its fullest, connect into meaningful relationships, and make a lasting impact. And my goodness, I can't think of a greater way you can make an impact than by partnering with Compassion, who is helping other people around the world experience the true life that only Jesus can give. Remember, Compassion is child-focused, church-based, and Christ-centered. Their desire is for these children they're serving is to be known, to be loved, and to be protected. There's a greater purpose happening through Compassion. One of the stories that stood out to me the most in our time here in Ecuador, it speaks to that greater purpose, the gospel influence on a community. It was at one of the child survival programs where Compassion serves those moms with preborn children, pregnant moms. They work with them all the way till the child's 1, and then the child gets sponsored through Compassion. And at this particular church, a Compassion rep was visiting the home of one of these moms. This mother had dealt with drug addiction, alcohol addiction. Her husband, her boyfriend was abusive, also addicted to drugs. And when this Compassion rep started showing up, the boyfriend told the Compassion rep, if you show up here again, I'll kill you, threatened their life. Well, unbeknownst to him, his girlfriend started meeting with this Compassion rep secretly in the park. Month after month went by. I believe her child then was born, and the boyfriend commented to his girlfriend, what happened to you? You don't use drugs, you're no longer drinking, you're acting differently, you're talking differently, you're treating me differently, like what's going on? And she said, well, remember that Compassion rep that you said you would kill? I've been meeting with them secretly in the park. This time, instead of threatening the life of this Compassion rep, this boyfriend was so convinced of the power of the gospel in this woman's life that he kind of traveled with the Compassion rep around the community as a pseudo bodyguard, making sure that no other husband, no other boyfriend could do to her what he threatened to do as well. But you still might not be convinced. You might be saying, well, how do I know that my dollar's actually being used well? Believe me, the integrity that we saw Compassion handle their resources with, I believe, surpasses any other organization out there. There was a church that a country actually wanted to throw that church. They wanted to throw Compassion out of the country, and they were threatening this church, trying to find even one single flaw in how the church used the dollars that were being given. Time and time again, they'd be audited again and again and again. But they couldn't find even one single flaw in how they were using and managing and monitoring the resources that were given. When the audit came up one year, they said, we don't need to check that church. We know they're using it well. The way that Compassion uses their resources and the integrity they have in auditing every single dollar that you give, they understand it's God's money first, Then it flows through your hands. And trust me, what we've seen here at Compassion, I can assure you, your money is being handled with great, great care. But you still might be skeptical. You still might say, well, but who does my dollar actually help? Well, I don't want to just tell you. I want to show you the story of Michael. He's 4 years old. We get to visit his home while we were here in Ecuador. And he's actually going to be available for sponsorship here soon with Compassion. Somebody, most likely in America, will sponsor Michael and will literally change his life forever. But again, I don't want to just tell you his story. I want you to see Michael's story, and I want your life to be forever changed.
As we headed up the coastline, we were reminded where there's beauty, there are also ashes. But often where God is moving most, where His church seeks to reside, is in the unexpected. In the most unlikely and in the darkest of places. Like this private airfield where drugs could freely come and go, and where warning signs clearly told us, stay out. But just when you feel hope is dead, God reminds us that His church is alive. This is where His church would be built and thrive. And despite cultural differences, the church welcomed us with open arms. And after some celebration and dance, we were told, you gotta come meet Michael and his grandmother. You gotta hear their story. So we brought some food and came to this little house, not even prepared for what we were about to hear.
My daughter got pregnant. When Michael's father found out, he wanted nothing to do with him. For 2 months, my daughter kept saying, I'm going to give you this child. One day, my daughter handed me Michael and said, you're on your own now. I can't work now. I also can't breathe properly, and I have problems with pain in my back. And I feel like I have something in my throat all the time. Several times, I've been passed out in bed. Michael will see me and say, Mom, I don't want you to die. My husband has a disease, and the doctors will try to help with surgery, but he will likely go blind. He cannot work any longer either. My oldest son used to support us financially, but he passed away. My other son, who then supported us, is having chest pain and pain in his back, and the pain is so bad he's in the hospital right now about to have surgery. I feel so bad because my son is sick, I'm sick, my husband is sick. I don't know who would take care of Michael. You have come to bring me hope.
Heavenly Father,
Padre Celestial,
we thank you for Michael.
te damos gracias por Michael.
We thank you for his life.
Gracias por su vida.
We thank you for his smile.
Gracias por su sonrisa.
We thank you for his health
Gracias por su salud.
and for his
Y por
intelligence.
su inteligencia.
Lord, he has a great purpose in life.
I didn't know how we were going to eat today. because we have no food. But I asked the Lord today at lunch to help me. And then these beautiful people from another country showed up at my door with food. And it's all because of God. As you leave here to go home, remember, God is with you. Please never forget us. Please never forget this community.
We won't.
Michael's story is just one story. But his will not be the last. Will you be a part of the next one? Help us be the light in the darkest of places. Will you help us release children from poverty? In Jesus' name.